This new executive order on mortgages is designed to help you save money on your closing costs. For a median house, it's estimated that it could save you between $5,000 to $8,000. What it does is, number one, is it legalizes AI appraisals. If you want to go and buy a house and get a mortgage, the mortgage company is going to do an appraisal on the house. Well, getting an appraisal can cost thousands of dollars depending on how big the house is. But if the bank is doing an AI appraisal, well, now it's significantly cheaper, which means you get to pay less money on that appraisal. Number two, this executive order is supposed to make it easier and cheaper for community banks to be able to compete against the larger banks and mortgage companies. And number three, it's designed to make getting a mortgage a lot more digitized. Because if you go and buy a house today or before, you'd have to sign all these papers by hand. The idea here is we can save money on all the papers, we can save money on all that headache by having somebody sit there, by having you sign the paperwork digitally. The second change has to do with the Trump IRA. The Trump IRA was this idea that a lot of Americans don't have a 401k or don't qualify for a 401k, so they cannot contribute to their retirement with a 401k. And this year, President Trump has announced something called a Trump IRA, a government-sponsored retirement account that's not supported by your employer, it's supported by the government. The idea being that if you don't qualify for a 401k, you can qualify for this Trump IRA and contribute to your retirement through this Trump IRA, which has these investment accounts already built in it. And the nice thing about the Trump IRA, or the pitch here, is that you can invest money into the Trump IRA, and if you meet the income requirements, the government is going to give you free money on top of that, because you don't get an employer match with an IRA, but with the Trump IRA, the government is going to give you a match. Now, unfortunately, the government doesn't have any money to give you the match because we have this huge $39 trillion of national debt. So the cost of that is a separate story. It's not something I'm going to talk about today. But just understand that the government is going to give you a match. Now, why does this have anything to do with the housing market? Because the IRA has a rule, not just the Trump IRA, but the IRA in general. And the rule is, as a first-time home buyer, you can withdraw up to $10,000 from your IRA penalty-free, whether it's traditional or Roth, to fund a first-time down payment. By the way, it's $10,000 per person. So if you and your spouse both have an IRA or a Trump IRA, well, then you can pull out $10,000 each to fund a down payment on your house. So the thinking here is the Trump IRA is supposed to make it easier for you to fund your retirement. On top of that, if you're lower income, well, now the government will be able to also give you more money towards your retirement, and you have the option to use some of that to help fund your down payment. Number three, President Trump has demanded that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac buy hundreds of billions of dollars of mortgage-backed securities. The reason why this matters is because this is a way for the Trump administration to try to drive down mortgage rates. It's become clear to me that most people, including professionals in the real estate space like mortgage bankers and real estate agents, have no idea what decides mortgage rates. So let me break it down. There are three primary factors that determine what your mortgage rate is. Number one is the 10-year yield, which is if you wanted to lend money to the United States government for 10 years, what interest rate is the government going to pay? Now, the reason why this one matters is because the government is known as a risk-free investment. You read any economics textbook, it'll tell you that the government always pays back their bills. So now, if you go to lend money to the United States government, they're going to give you this money back plus interest. The reason why that matters is because now, if your bank has this money that they need to lend out, they're going to compare their different investment options. They can lend money to you, they can lend money to your broke cousin Bunty, or they can lend money to the United States government. Well, the United States government is the safest investment because they can just raise taxes or get that money printed. You are not as safe as the United States government, but you're not as risky as your broke cousin Bunty. Your broke cousin Bunty is going to have to pay the highest interest rate because he doesn't have a stable income, he doesn't have a good credit score. You're somewhere in the middle. So if you're more risky than the United States government, that means the government has to charge you a higher interest rate than what the government pays. That's why you want to pay attention to this 10-year yield, because it'll give you an indication as to where mortgage rates are going. When the 10-year yield is going up, well, that means your mortgage rate is generally going up. If the 10-year yield is going down, that means your mortgage rate is generally going down. And for those of you that are a little bit more sophisticated and technical on the financial side of things, the interest rate set by the Federal Reserve Bank impacts the 10-year yield. Then you have the profit set by the bank, because every bank, every lender wants to make some money. So this one's pretty obvious. And then you have this, the MBS spread, the mortgage-backed securities spread. And what this is now is the interest rate on these mortgages in this public and private market. I'm not going to do a full deep dive analysis into how mortgage-backed securities work, but what you need to understand is that when your bank issues a loan, they don't just sit on that loan for the next 30 years. They take that loan and they're going to sell it off to somebody else, and then it's going to be sold again. And that interest rate now is what you want to pay attention to, because when there are more buyers of these mortgage-backed securities, well, then interest rates go down. Where there are not enough buyers, because people are concerned about the mortgage market, well, that drives up these interest rates, because then the free market has to price in this lack of demand. So supply and demand. When there's a lot of buyers, interest rates go down. When there's not a lot of buyers, interest rates go up. Well, when the president says that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have to go out and spend hundreds of billions of dollars buying this, what that does is it lowers this spread. And the reason why that matters is because when you add up the interest rate on the 10-year yield, you add up the interest rate on the profit, and you add up this mortgage-backed security spread, that's how you get your mortgage rate. And so what President Trump was trying to do here is lower your overall mortgage rate by lowering this spread right here. Now, this was in the beginning part of 2026, but other things kind of came up in the way. We had this conflict in the Middle East, these concerns about inflation, which then helped raise this, which kind of counteracted that. But you get the idea. If you have more buyers of mortgage-backed securities, which is what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are doing, that helps lower this, which can help lower this. And last but not least is number 4. President Trump is making a move to make it more difficult for institutional companies, those large corporations, to go out and buy single-family housing. Now, the thing that you want to understand about this is he did not make it illegal for institutional buyers to go out and invest in single-family houses. What he did is he made it much more difficult for these corporations and institutions to get federal funding to go out and buy single-family houses. So it's not that they can't, it's just more difficult for them to go out and do so. And the idea here is supply and demand. If you want to go out and buy a house and you're competing against 10 more people or 10 other corporations, well, now you have more competition to buy a house, which can drive up the prices of housing, because now you have to compete to buy the house, which is bidding wars. But if there's less buyers out there, well, now you have less competition, which means you have less bidding wars, and you can hopefully get the house for a less expensive price. So it's good for buyers, but not so good for sellers, because as a seller, you want the highest price possible. You don't care if it's an institution that you're selling it to. You don't care if it's a buyer. You generally just want the highest price possible. We've seen this throughout time because, well, many sellers over the last 6 years didn't care who was buying their house. They just wanted the highest dollar amount possible. Now, the thing that you have to understand here is that the government itself cannot change the housing market. They can create regulations, but they cannot change the mortgage rate, and they cannot force somebody to buy or sell their house. And so what ultimately will happen is going to depend on how all of these things impact supply and demand. Because right now, we do have a lot of people that want to buy a house, they just can't afford to buy a house. We also have a lot of people that don't want to sell their house because they're saying, I have a 3.5% mortgage, I don't want to sell and then have to go get a 6.5% or 7.5% mortgage. And that's where we're still seeing this gridlock in the housing market. Now, separately, yes, we have concerns about where mortgage rates are going to go. There was a lot of talks about mortgage rates falling drastically in 2026 because of Trump's new plans, but because of what's happening in the Middle East, that's made it less likely. The conflict in the Middle East has driven up, like I was talking about before, those treasury yields. The higher treasury yields have also impacted mortgage rates. So there's a lot of different factors at play here. We don't know what's going to come next. Again, as an investor, it's important for you to understand these factors because they can all create investment opportunity. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.